Okay. What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a Sunday edition of Morning Scone presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com, Restored Motions, RestoredMotions.com, and ProCharge EV, ProChargeEV.com. All right, y'all. Hope you had a great Saturday. Tigers win. I went to bed last night at halftime of the USC Arizona game. It was 17-0 Arizona, and I live bet USC on the money line, which got down to like minus 145 or something like that. So, hi.
Not for Dad's show.
After Dad's show, we can go right around.
No.
And then we'll come home and watch Saints play.
No.
And after Saints play, we'll go to the mall. You want to come say hi to Dad's show?
Mom, pass by.
And pass by Baton Rouge General Hospital. Good job. Okay. You want to say hi to everybody?
Hi, buddy.
Good job. And say good morning, Dad's show. Why, you woke up so early today? Somebody decided he wanted to get out of bed early, so we've been kind of sitting around, haven't we? Okay. Well, that was a short-lived visit. Are you staying? Here you go. Here you go. What about it, y'all? Anyway, so I live bet USC on the money line, and then it got to 17-14 and a half. I went to bed. I'm like, okay, well, they're going to win this. I woke up this morning, saw it was triple overtime. I was like, oh, my God. Anyway, USC did win. But what a day of college football. LSU beats Missouri 49-39. We just got to get used to seeing games like that, y'all. It's just how this team is going to play. There are two coexisting truths. One being that because of your offense, you are never out of a game, and that's really an encouraging point of view. The other part of it is also that because of your defense, you should never feel safe, as evidenced by the last 2 weeks. So anyway, but the Tigers win 49-39, road win at Mizzou. Now they come home to take on Auburn. A&M loses yesterday. So, when you look at it, Louisville beat Notre Dame. The ending of the Miami game was bonkers for those that missed it. Miami has Georgia Tech beat. Georgia Tech has no timeouts. Miami has the ball. There's like 30 seconds. All they have to do is take a knee. Take a knee and you win. They run a play instead, fumble. Georgia Tech gets it, scores a touchdown, wins the game. I mean, all Miami had to do was take a knee, and they decided to run a play and fumble instead. Anyway, crazy day. Yeah, Georgia waxed Kentucky. Hat tip Phil Steele had that one. Phil Steele had Wyoming beating Fresno, which may not seem like a big deal, but Fresno was the highest ranked of the G5s. So when you're thinking, which one is going to steal a spot in the New Year's Six, Fresno losing yesterday was a big deal to that end. So, okay, we'll say some good morning, see what y'all got. What a day for Jaden Daniels, who it was a rib injury. For those that missed Whiskey and Wine, we talked about it a little bit. So, rib injury for Jaden Daniels on the play where he scored, and ultimately they ruled holding on Kamori and Pimpton and took the touchdown off the board. He got hit after he was already in the end zone, got hit in the back, so kind of like the right side there. And he, so hurt his ribs. They brought him into the tent. They put a rib pad under him. I don't know why he wasn't already wearing if he wasn't, why he wasn't already wearing a rib protector. I mean, I feel like every quarterback should have to wear a rib protector. But anyway, hopefully nothing serious. Hopefully just a little rest will get him right this week. Then obviously, you play Army, and then you got an open date, so you got a little time to get him healed up. Let's see, Charles Turner was an ankle, and they replaced Charles Turner with Marlon Martinez, and he just couldn't get the shotgun snap, kept snapping the ball high, so they replaced him with DJ Chester. Actually, that goal-to-go situation where LSU ended up missing the field goal after the high snap, where it was a high snap, Jaden scrambled, scored, and there was the holding on Pimpton after that high snap. Then there was a false start on Martinez, and then a high snap again. They pulled him after that. So So anyway, a couple of personnel notes there. Let's fire away, see what y'all got. But what a day for Jaden, who was awesome again. Accounted for 4 touchdowns, and honestly, y'all, they kind of robbed him of 2 touchdowns. The one that they took off the board was the holding, and then the one that they didn't review earlier in the game, the first touchdown where Jaden was in the end zone, they didn't review it. They said he was stopped short. Diggs ultimately got the touchdown, but Jaden should have had 2 more rushing touchdowns. So he should have had 3 passing, 3 rushing. He should have had 6 touchdowns. But Jaden 15 to 21 for 259, 3 touchdowns, no picks, QBR of 97.1. His rating was like 222 or something like that. Rushing, Jaden 15 for 130. Diggs 24 for 134. Y'all, the day that Logan Diggs went in the portal and told you they got him, said he immediately becomes the most talented running back on LSU's campus. The day he commits, the day he steps foot here. And y'all have seen it. He's a guy that's got burst. He can make you miss. He can run with power. He can catch the ball. He's just really good. I did find it interesting, though, they really shrunk their number of targets yesterday. Neighbors had 6 catches. Brian Thomas had 4. Mason Taylor had 4. And Kyron Lacey had 1. That was it. They did not throw the ball to the backside of the backfield at all. And we did not see really the depth at receiver. Now, part of that, of course, Chris Hilton's hurt. Aaron Anderson's hurt. But we did not see really the depth at receiver. It was, you were a little bit limited with what you had. But Malik, 6 for 146. They were just awesome. And then defensively, I know there's nothing really to write home about defensively, but you did have some big plays defensively in this ball game, which is, I think, what you're going to have to rely on. You didn't have any sacks in the first half, but in the second half, you came up with 2 sacks. You had 5 TFLs in the game. You had 2 passes defended. One was Mason Smith, who batted the ball at the line. Mason Smith came up with a sack yesterday. Harold Perkins had a TFL, had the interception, had a pass deflected. Perkins tipped that field goal. So anyway, nobody's going to be excited about giving up 39 points and 527 yards of offense to Missouri. Fully understand that. But your defense came up with stops in the second half. Like, they were able to get off the field. I mean, after Missouri went touchdown, 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 you had the Perkins interception, and then they had the field goal right before half. Then in the second half, Missouri went missed field goal to the Perkins block, 3-and-out punt, touchdown, 3-and-out punt, touchdown, downs. It was 4th and 32, and then the pick 6 by Major Burns. So you got off the field. Your defense got off the field in the second half. So you allowed 25 in the first half. You allowed 14 in the second half. Like, if as a defense you allow a touchdown per quarter and you can allow 28 points a game, I mean, that would feel like a massive win. If you could replicate what you did in the second half over 4 quarters, that would feel like a massive win for this team, because your offense is going to be good enough to keep scoring. So, okay, let's say some good mornings here. Y'all do me a favor, smash that like button. If you're there on YouTube, subscribe up to the channel if you're new. Facebook, please like the Matt Moscona page, share the post. Thanks for being here. Cortland, Jacob, Jason, what's up, Truax? Good morning, man. Cliff Nelson. Cliff. Good time at Don Juan. Pete. So I watch the game, the first half at home, and I go to Don Juan's. I leave home at halftime to go to Don Juan's because we start as soon as the game ends. So I have to be there. So I prefer to watch the game because, I mean, I'm just sitting here taking notes the whole game. So it's easier just at home. But I go to Don Juan for the second half, and I walk in, and like the first defensive play, it's just like everyone's going Pete. They're chanting Pete like Pete Jenkins. It was the funniest thing. And so then it went from like defensive stops to any play, like first down, conversion, touchdown, everything. Everybody, the whole bar is chanting Pete. Oh, so good. Anyway, vibes were good. It's always better when they win, of course. Will Davis, good morning. Bruce Shales. The one improvement from the defense was tackling was a little better. That was my biggest gripe from last week. They did. I mean, there were still some. I mean, there was one egregious missed tackle, which almost cost you in the second half. It was after Neighbors scored the touchdown where he was wide open, and you went up 42-39. This was in the fourth quarter. So Neighbors scores after Mizzou had scored. I mean, this is where you flip-flop touchdowns. You scored to go up 35-32. You got the 2-point conversion. They went right back and scored and took the lead back in 4 plays. You get the ball and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plays and get the lead right back 42-39. That's when you got the ball with 5:40 to play. So you're up 3 and you got to give them the ball with 2.5 to play. You're not feeling great, right? Well, first down, Sage Ryan misses a tackle and the kid runs for 25 yards out to midfield. So just like that, they're at midfield because of a missed tackle. But on the 3rd and 6 is when Braden Swinson came up with the big strip sack, forced fumble when they lost 30 yards. The ball was kicking around backwards. So you came up with some plays, but yes, tackling was better. It was better. Rick Hess, good morning from the Colorado Rockies. Okay. Jordan Jones, dude, you missed the Arizona game. Man, for those that just jumped aboard, I mentioned Hunter Fournette. The Arizona game was drunk as hell. Y'all, I mean, I went to bed. Like I said, for those I live bet it when Arizona was up 17-0. I live bet USC at like minus 145. And so then it was 17-14. They came back at half. 17-14. I'm like, oh, they got this. Woke up this morning and saw it was triple overtime. I was like, oh, man, that is true Pac-12 after dark inanity. Let's see. Brad David, good morning. What do you think about RG3 on the broadcast? He's a tough listen. I get why when you're a Heisman Trophy winner and a first-round pick and all that stuff, and you got personality, you're going to get those opportunities. That's fine. But boy, he's got a lot of maturing as a broadcaster to do. He's a tough listen right now. Hopefully he just gets better with reps. Austin Kidder, good morning. If Jaden Daniels can ball out and win the game with a bad rib, none of our excuses are valid. I mean, the craziest part about it is he took that shot. That was the second play of the fourth quarter when he got hit on the touchdown that got called back. It was the second play of the fourth quarter. LSU's next drive, you have a 3rd and 9, and Jaden ran up the middle for 14 yards with a bum rib. And the next play was a 35-yarder to Malik. And then Jaden finished that drive on third. It's 3rd and 3, and he had the 35-yard touchdown run. He just kept running. That was his long run of the day, too, by the way. And then on your next drive, after they come back and take the lead 39-35 on the 4-play drive, on the next drive, you've got a 3rd and 5, and Jaden runs for 31 yards. And then the next play was the Malik touchdown where he was wide open. I mean, he was awesome. Jaden was awesome yesterday. Rick Hess, Wendell Norman, Cortland Jacob, Arizona coaching staff didn't seem to understand the overtime rules. They really screwed up an icon for 2 in the first overtime. Joseph Falgraff, good morning. Baby Bobby, what's up, man? Good morning. Mr. Don Juan, man. John Wilson, what's up? Jordan Jones, Robert Cooley. Brad was the guy that always cheers against LSU at Don Juan. He was not. Brad's asking. There's a guy, a couple of games now, like for the Florida State game, and then last week he was at Don Juan. He just like the whole time against Ole Miss, he's going, "Let's go Mississippi!" And then it was cheer for Florida State too. He's just a troll. He's just a jerk. But no, he was not there yesterday. Austin Kidder, let's see. Watching this defense get a stop is as exciting as watching the Les Miles team get a first down. Travis Ford, listen every day in Houston. Thank you, man. Appreciate that very much. Shout out to H-Town. Appreciate all of our Houston audience. Huge Houston audience. Dallas Spurge. Spurge is in Dallas. Appreciate everybody in Texas who listens and watches every day. Casey Williams. Donovan Peterson, what's up, man? What's up, Donovan? Pete. Oh, man. Cortland, the fact you could see a DB on the screen when the wide receiver caught the ball felt like an improvement. Oh, Wacky Chris, more to Matt, understand we won. Officiating crew from yesterday needs to be reprimanded. I agree. Listen, I think that I'm a firm believer that officials are part of the game and should have to answer questions after a game. The disconcerting signals was called 4 times in that game. I'm not sure I've ever heard it called. Probably at some point I have, but to have it called 4 times in a game is concerning. To blatantly miss the Jaden Daniels touchdown, and then not only to miss it on the field, but for the collaborative review in Birmingham not to whistle down, not to buzz down and review that was stunning. The holding call to take Jaden's touchdown off the board. It was both ways. Drinkwitz was upset because the first sportsmanlike conduct on Missouri came on that 3rd and 1 when the Missouri guy kicked Emory Jones, which he deserved, but Drinkwitz was upset because apparently the kid was getting his leg twisted under the pile. It was just, an officiating crew's job is to maintain control over a game, and they didn't. So the Missouri, thank you, Drew. The Missouri false start on Mizzou, where the left guard just, as blatant a false start as you'll ever see, and to miss it. I think, look, at this level, you expect to see something like, when you're watching, elementary school, junior high football on a Sunday, and they're pulling dads out of the crowd to officiate. Okay, you're probably going to get some of those. At this level, the Southeastern Conference, nah, man, you got to be better than that. That crew was awful. Nobody won or lost because of the officials. I'll never blame officials for a win or a loss or anything like that, but that crew was atrocious. Kelly Groves, hey Dad. Donald A. Me, good morning. Jason Horn, what's good, man? Good morning. Ryan Amanda Guidry, totally agree with you last night. The JD haters can go to. If you were watching Whiskey and Wine, I finally popped off and just told every Jaden Daniels hater what they can do in a very Whiskey and Wine way. So if you're interested in hearing that, you can go watch the beginning of Whiskey and Wine yesterday. I don't know, at this point, at the beginning of the season, what I said on Whiskey and Wine after Florida State was I'm just not engaging with the anti-Jaden people. It just doesn't make sense anymore. You've made up your mind. The guy could walk on water and you're going to still find fault. But after yesterday, I just completely popped off. Anyway. Ryan Mandy gives you second half, only 14 points given up, sent some pressure. Yeah. Hopefully that's something you build on. And look, next week you're going to take on Auburn. And my concern with Auburn is Hugh Freeze is a really good coach that is creative and will do a lot of the things that will give this defense problem with the eye candy, the misdirection. And so I do worry about that a little with Auburn. But you're going to be at home. Your offense is still great. And hopefully, but the thing I'll tell you too is Auburn's coming off a bye. This is why this game always kind of spooked me from the beginning. Oh, here's the USC. The thing that kind of spooked me about this game, Auburn coming off a bye, Hugh Freeze with an extra week to prepare, LSU coming off back-to-back road conference games. It is a sticky spot on the schedule. LSU's going to have to be locked in next week for sure. Tony Williams, Kyle DeVille, morning, Matt. Jaden, show why he's that dude. Have a great day. Yes, sir. God bless. Jared DeLucky, good morning. T-Bob was on fire at the beginning of Whiskey and Wine. Jared, he's on fire at the beginning of every Whiskey and Wine, man. You've seen that firsthand, dog. Brandon Mall. Winning masks how bad the offensive line pass protection is. I disagree with that. I think LSU's offensive line is really good. That certainly wouldn't be one of my chief complaints. You put up 500 yards of offense. They had 2 sacks in the game. and one of them was only credited as a sack because it was like a Jaden run where he was tackled behind the line, but it was credited as a sack. So I kind of disagree. Ryan Dixon, what's going on? Les Miles supports the Cristobal High. No, Les would not have lost that game, bro. Ryan Amanda Gidry, the Pete chant was amazing. Carl Ritter, Thad Landry. Hey, Rebecca Claire, good morning. Where was Denver Harris? Didn't start. They went with Sage so Zy Alexander and Sage Ryan started at corner. And the interesting thing is Brian Kelly's always said to put Sage Ryan in because he's a better tackler. He's got great speed as a better tackler. Denver missed a look. I mean, it's not just Denver Harris. I mean, they've all been bad, and Denver's had his share of bad plays. But if you remember last week against Ole Miss, there was the Denver Harris missed tackle last week was one of the more egregious ones. It was. It was on 3rd and 11. You were up 9. You were up 49-40. Ole Miss gets the ball after the squib. It's 3rd and 11. And they throw a 5-yard route. And Denver Harris goes high, misses the tackle. The kid runs for 35 yards. They would go on to score and bring it to 49-47. Right there, you're off the field or you're making them go for it on 4th and 6 if you make the tackle. Anyway, I can understand why Brian Kelly was like, we're changing things up. All right. Patrick Berglass, good morning, Matt. Go Tigers. What cigar did you have after the game? I need to start saving the labels. They used to give us like or Clay would give us like a rundown of, what cigar we were having, but with your tasting notes and all that stuff. But I'm not sure which one we had yesterday. It's mind-boggling how unwilling they could be to tackle. A little bit better, but not great. Brandon Mull, who's worse, RG3 or Gary Danielson? Brandon, you and I are just going to disagree on a lot today. Gary Danielson is actually a fantastic college football color analyst. He understands the game. He anticipates plays that are going to happen. He's very good at explaining what happened in real time. I've never understood why LSU fans have this collective hate for Gary. It's probably somewhat rooted back in the Glenn Dorsey thing from 2006. But whatever. Jason Duvall, good morning from Gulf Shores. Okay. It's not 38, but it'll do. Oh, man. Greg Dugas, Garland Harold, Daryl Reeves. Where do you have Jaden Daniels ranked for all-time LSU quarterbacks? Daryl, let's see how this season ends. But at the rate he's going right now, how he's pacing, when he's like this year certainly isn't going to challenge Burrow's 2019. Nothing will. But I think this season will end up being the second best season in LSU history for any quarterback behind Burrow. The way he's trending. Because Jaden's trending to be a 4,000-yard passer and a 1,000-yard rusher, which LSU's never had. The only Burrow threw for 5,000 in 2019. No other quarterback had ever thrown for 4,000, which Jaden is on pace to do right now. So, I think you're in this season. If you're looking at an individual season, this season is pacing to be the second best season in LSU history for a quarterback. Career, that's a little tougher because it's 2 years, but Burrow was 2 years, and if you look at Jamarcus, say you'd have to look at Jamarcus was here long, but you have to really look at 05, 06 when he was the full-time starter. Rowe had the amazing 2001, but it was just 1 year. Mettenberger was a 3,000-yard passer in 2013. He was a 2-year starter, but 2012 was nothing really to write home about. Anyway, we'll have that we'll have that convo, when the season's over and it's all said and done. Jeff McKithen, Michael Guidry, good morning. What's the spread for the Auburn game? Good question. Let me see if I can find an early line on that. LSU 12.5 is the early line on that one from DraftKings. LSU 12.5. Kevin Thomas, what's up? Jordan Jones, what about Louisville straight beat down? Yeah, Louisville beat Notre Dame by 2 touchdowns yesterday. If y'all are on Twitter, some of y'all probably saw this. I hesitate to even bring it up, but one of our video editors clipped something from AFR this week and put it on social media, and I went back and played a clip that Scott Woodward played. It was from the season. It was from Eagle 98.1 game day before the Florida State game. And Hannah interviewed Scott Woodward, and I'm paraphrasing, but Woodward in so many words said, "Look, we're excited for this game today, but I just encourage our fans not to get too, not to get too caught up in the result of one game or 1 week and think big picture and all that sort of stuff." And so I played that and reacted to it, and we clipped it and put it on social media. And essentially it was saying, my take was, are you better today? As bad as the defense was against Ole Miss and is this year, are you more stable as a program today than you were the day Brian Kelly was hired? And the answer is undeniably yes. You have an adult in the room. You're building your roster. You have stability. You won the West a year ago. All that stuff. You're undeniably in a better place today than you were when Brian Kelly was hired. The question is, is he building the foundation strong enough to where you could build a championship roster and program on top of it? And that's the hope, right? Well, anyway, of course, then Notre Dame people see that, and then they start getting into the comments in the feed. And I replied, I'm like, Notre Dame is the girl that got dumped and just keeps looking at their ex's Instagram. I mean, why don't you focus on winning your first national championship since the Reagan administration and worry less about what Brian Kelly's doing at LSU? And then sure enough, just hours after that, they go and lose to Louisville. I mean, I just don't see LSU fans. I could be wrong. Maybe y'all are doing this. I don't see LSU fans just preemptively striking Notre Dame people all the time, but it sure feels like there's a lot of Notre Dame folks that are like that guy yesterday who got up in my mentions. I don't know if it was like a blog, a fan site, I don't know what it was, but it was like a Irish Ink, always Irish Ink is what the Twitter was. Anyway, it's just a little bizarre. What are they doing? Oh my God. Oh my God. That countdown was Rex Ryan and Teddy Bruschi and Schefter. What are they doing? They're all down in 3-4 point stances trying to do the scrum, the rugby scrum. Yeah, whatever. Weird. What's going on in the Jacksonville? I got Jacksonville plus 5.5, by the way. What we got so far? 11-7.5. Okay. All right, Jags. I see you. Thad Landry, good morning. Todd Harris, sorry. Lost my spot. Here we go. In man coverage, the DBs are generally right on the hip of the wide receivers. If they can just get them to turn and find the ball, they can be so much better. Nicholas Cantrell, good morning. SEC front office on officiating, quote, mistakes were made. Yeah. Jordan Mumphrey, does it make sense to focus more on turnover drills for defense? That may be the best way to slow down scoring. I think everybody does that, Jordan. I mean, I can tell you that for the practice availability we get, they always work on, attacking the football, stripping the football, defensive backs work on ball control and security drills, like intercepting passes. So breaking on footballs, I think that's always a focus, But tackling was a good place to start, and it was improved this week. Patrick Berglass, if we go 8-4, 9-3 with this defense, Jaden should be top 3 Heisman, if not the winner. Well, I'll tell you, man, he is. Look, there's a long way to go, but he's certainly trending toward being in New York, right? I mean, even if you just look at the odds, the Heisman odds, he's still, I think, top 5 or 6, even with 2 losses. So he's having a great year. It's almost like Michael Penix a year ago. Penix led the FBS in passing, but nobody talked about him because his team wasn't in contention. So, is anyone selling Pete Jenkins t-shirts? Dana Berthelot, good morning. Todd Harris, what about the blocking out of bounds call on Will? Here's what I can. So you're talking about Will Campbell when Will Campbell got his personal foul. Here's what I'll tell you. I didn't see it right live on TV, but I was listening to Hannah Griffin Dixon after the game, and so Gordy Rush is the sideline reporter. So I text with Gordy. I know it's tough, but I'll try to get Gordy during the game to get injury updates and things like that. So Gordy's the one who, because we're sitting there at Don Juan. So Gordy's the one who told me Turner was an ankle and Jaden was a rib and all that sort of stuff. So I'm listening to Hannah Griffin Dixon, and Hannah Griffin's telling the story that he had asked Gordy about the Will Campbell play. He's like, was the call justified? And Hanny said, this is Gordy's reaction. He goes, oh yeah. So anyway, so I think so the call against Will Campbell apparently was justified. Listen, play hard, be physical, be smart. I mean, anyway, I'm trying to see if I can find where that was. I don't see it on my notes. We'll find it later. Doesn't matter. Let's see. Austin Kidder, it's time for the Nuss Bus apology tour. The Nuss Bus. Dude, he's gonna be, man. Look, I hope Garrett's great next year, man. Hope he stays and has a great year. Hope he starts for 2 years and is great. But there can be coexisting truths. You could be excited for Garrett Nussmeier to be really good when his day comes, but you can also understand that Jaden Daniels has been, will continue to be the best option for this team. That's not even debatable. Baby Bobby, can we say thanks, Bernsey, for the cover? So I tweeted that when it happened. There was no one more excited about the Major Burns pick 6 than sports books and odds makers, because there, like we said all week, I mean, there was just a ton of Missouri money that came in when the public saw LSU and their defense against Ole Miss, and then they saw that Missouri at home, undefeated, ranked, was getting 6.5 points. Public money flooded in on Missouri, as you would expect it would. And so the sports books were very leveraged there with Mizzou. Drew, thank you. So they needed an LSU win and cover. And so LSU is going to win, but if Major Burns catches that interception and goes down, Missouri's out of timeouts. I mean, if he goes down, the game's over. LSU takes a knee, it's done. And Brian Kelly was upset after. He's like, now we had to kick him the ball back. Now you're up 2 scores. So, I mean, it could have gotten a little dicey. It didn't, thankfully, but it could have. Mark Allen, I'm not going to lie, 4th and 32, I was nervous. Yeah. We're all scarred by the defense, you know. The other coexisting truth is the Pete chant we started Don Juan is the thing. Bo Jax, what's up, man? Good morning. Got to meet Bo Jax last week at Don Juan. Really appreciate everybody who comes, man. Got to meet Donovan. Of course, Cliff comes all the time. Jerry, Dane, Bergeron, who y'all see all the time on here. Dane came yesterday. Dane had a buddy with him. Gosh, dog, I don't know if Dane's watching right now. I forgot his name. Golly, I'm so sorry too. Dane came down from DeRitter. Shout out Dane Bergeron with a buddy of his who played football at A&M. And I forgot his name. God, I'm sorry. Anyway, but it's cool. Always good to see those dudes. Tyga said, "Can you pin the Got Lights info?" Yeah. Hey, look. Let me do this. Yep. I'm just gonna post it. I've got Hudco pinned, so let me just post the Got Lit in here. It's gotlitlights.com. I'll post it in there. Derek from Got Lit was there yesterday, and they've been great. I mean, they bought the whole season of whiskey and wine. So shout out to the Got Lit folks. I mean, I'm fired up for it. Like, Erica's going to get the lights she's always wanted on our house for Christmas, and I don't have to do any work. I mean, they have all the product, so they'll come by, do an estimate. You decide what you want. You know, they get you on the schedule. They come set it up. Your house is beautiful all throughout Christmas, and then afterwards they come take it all down and take it away. So they service Greater Baton Rouge, right? And it's kind of important to note this. Like, their service area is Baton Rouge. They will go beyond, like, if it makes sense, right, for them to work outside of their area. So like, I'll give you an example. Like, we had someone listen last week in Vacherie, which is real. It's an hour and a half. That's on the far side, but it was a job that was totally worth it. So anyway, gotlitlights.com. I just posted it. If y'all want to give our guys a shout, we appreciate them greatly. Sponsoring the whole season of whiskey and wine, and they're great. Oh, the other thing too is, and I would have thought that with the seasonality that, like, really people would lock in on that after Thanksgiving. He basically told me, like, it goes dry like December 1. So, I mean, apparently we're getting ours. Again, Erica's handling the whole thing, but he told me yesterday, I think we're getting ours like maybe like right after Halloween. We're getting ours done. Anyway, that's an Erica thing, but I guess my point is, please don't wait. If you're interested, please don't wait until, like, I mean, I would have thought wait till after Thanksgiving, and then, because that's when we go get our tree. Oh, okay, well then, let's go get them out here to. No, like, apparently it's all done like in October and November. So if you're interested, gotlitlights.com. I posted the link, gotlitlights.com. And thank you for asking. Let's see. Sways Nola Way. What's going on? The Zona game was so close. Alex Light Giver. Kelly said he didn't want to score on the pick six. Right. No. Well, Alex, the reason you don't score on the pick six is because they were out of timeout. You could just taken a knee. You take a knee, the game's over. Casey Williams noticed Burns screaming and pushing around Alexander yesterday. I don't know what happened there. Major's a really emotional guy. Like, he is the most vocal guy on the team. Major Burns on defense and Malik Neighbors. The two guys that wear 8 are the two most vocal guys on the team. UGA got flagged for disconcerting signals. Okay. Cody Kibido, morning, Matt. See people chanting to Firehouse, but don't stop to think of there is anyone on staff to replace him, plus changing schemes in the middle of the season. So you wouldn't necessarily have to change schemes. I'll say this, Cody. In 2020, when after the Bama game, and y'all know I'm never like, fire the coach. I'm not that guy. But in 2020, after the Bama game, what I said on air was, listen, at this point, we all know there is an inevitability. The season's lost. You're not winning anything. You know Bo Pelini's not going to be back. I thought that would have been a good opportunity to promote Corey Raymond to interim DC to see how that went. He wanted to do it, and Ed was promoted internally. There was a lot of, Steve Ensminger was promoted internally. Dennis Johnson was promoted internally. We saw a lot of that, right? So that was my feeling then, was you got a guy on staff who's able and who is eager for that opportunity, do it. Who is that guy on this staff? Now, what I'll say is you have two guys on staff that have been defensive coordinators under Brian Kelly that have been really good defensive coordinators under Brian Kelly. You've got Bob Diaco and John Jancic. Diaco was Brian Kelly's DC at Notre Dame and was so good that he got the head coaching job at UConn. John Jancic has been a DC everywhere. And with Pete Jenkins coming in, working with your defensive line, I think it would be easier to move Jancic, to off of the defensive line role because you got Pete there now. Anyway, I'm not saying that's going to happen. And hopefully they just continue to improve as the season goes along and we don't have to have this conversation. I don't know that I necessarily believe they're going to keep improving, at least not to a degree that's impactful. But you do have two coaches on staff that have been defensive coordinators under Brian Kelly at the Power 5 level. So, different voice, all that stuff. Is that hard to do midstream? Yes. The other thing to keep in mind is all is not lost for this team. You've got one conference loss. If you beat Auburn, then you're going to Bama not completely controlling your own destiny, but oh God. But, most likely, you go 7-1, your only loss is that road loss to Ole Miss, you're going to end up in Atlanta. So, do you change midstream when you still have so much to play for? All right, please smash that like button. 376 watching live. Appreciate y'all so much. Please take a quick second, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Louis Malhoy still don't have a quarterback for next year. I know that there's me and you do. I'll be very excited to see what fourth year Garrett Nussmeier can do when given his chance, especially because guys don't typically stay. And you might actually go into the portal and get another quarterback as well to bring in for competition. So, I know you don't do recruiting very much, but Corey Foreman is no longer with USC. Could he join Mason Smith at LSU next year? I remember the name Corey Foreman, and I know LSU recruited him heavily because I remember whenever he came and did his visit on campus, and my guy Steve Levy over at Pluckers did their sign on right on Nicholson, welcoming Corey Foreman and his family. And I'll tell you, I know also that the night, I think the Lakers were in the NBA playoffs when Corey Foreman was doing his visit. And Corey Foreman's family came in from LA as well, and they all went to Pluckers, and the family watched the Lakers game there, and Steve took care of them and all that sort of stuff. So shout out to Steve Levy. So anyway, Corey Foreman I know had a really good visit, but I also know that Christian Lockature was kind of the head recruiter on Corey Foreman. I don't know if there's anybody still here that was recruiting him heavily. I'd have to go back and remember. I don't remember. Strong side, good morning. Daniel should be in the Heisman conversation. Sways Nola said QBR versus rating. I don't pick whichever one that you prefer. I think they both essentially say the same thing. And I think it's really just a good or bad type thing. You can tell when it's impressive one way or another. Right. Dwayne Collins, Brian Kelly, really not a good play caller. Brian Kelly's not the play caller. Mike Denbrock is. And Mike Denbrock is a fantastic play caller. He had Cincinnati a top 10 offense in every statistical category. And I think when you look at LSU right now, how could you argue anything to the contrary? This offense is leading the SEC in everything. I mean, Mike Denbrock deserves a ton of credit. I mean, you're number 3 in the country in total offense. It's Washington at 569, Oregon 557, LSU at 548. You're 3rd in the country in total offense. And you're 5th in scoring. USC, Oregon, Washington, Oklahoma, LSU. I mean, I think Mike Denbrock's a pretty good play caller, bro. I think they're doing just fine. Oh man. Oh, I'm way behind. I'm gonna go to the bottom and work my way back up there. YouTube comments, my apologies. Cortland, Mizzou, and USC ran the same 2-point play. I didn't see the end of it. Atiba, please for the life of me ask Brian Kelly, why the hell are we lining up 10 yards off the ball? What kind of scheme is this? Well, they're not playing press man. They're playing zone. And the reason it makes sense. Your defensive backs aren't good enough to play press man. So you play zone. And when you play zone, you're going to give up some underneath receptions. You just hope you tackle. And they did tackle against Ole Miss. And they also had a lot of blown coverages with missed assignments in zone. So I'll put it to you this way, Atiba, I think you can coach guys up and get them better at playing zone. You can't make guys more athletic. So if your guys physically aren't good enough to beat Keon Coleman, Luther Burden, like good receivers, and you're going to face more of them, then you have to beat them schematically, which means you just have to keep working to get better at tackling and at your zone responsibilities. Michael B. You can't count on Pete, though. He's up there in age and should be watching the grandkids sitting on a deer. Hey, bro, I'm going to tell you this, Michael. I've known Coach Pete for a long time, man. He's semi-retired in that he's not, interested in, I think, being in the day-to-day grind of a football season anymore. So, I don't think he'll be back next year on staff in this capacity. But he's only semi-retired. He still goes all over the country every spring doing camps and counseling with, and working with football staffs. He was at LSU in the spring. So I don't think anybody's counting on it. I think it's one of those things where Jimmy Lindsey was your defensive line coach that you hired, and you had a really unfortunate situation where he had a medical emergency, which is, kept him away from the team. And, God willing, Jimmy Lindsey heals up and gets healthy and is back, and he's your defensive line coach, and that's not it. But you had a strange situation where you had to have a little bit of a musical chairs with the coaching staff this year. Blanche Hudson. If you combine LSU's offense and Alabama's defense, you got a national champ. Will Spates be able to get a medical red shirt? So I doubt it. Could he potentially? It's a percentage of the snaps. And considering, let's see, he missed the Mississippi State game and this game too, so probably not actually. And I don't know that he would want to anyway. Like I don't know that he wants a 6th year in college. Nuss won't have Neighbors or Thomas. True, and Kyron Lacey could be gone as well. But Chris Hilton could come back for a senior year, and you're going to have a lot of good young receivers. And I'll remind you that, like, you had Malik Neighbors step up when everybody was looking for Kayshon Boutte to be the guy and wasn't. So, what were you going to do when Chase and Jefferson and Marshall all left? I mean, well, Kayshon stepped up and Neighbors stepped up, and like they've got talented receivers, man. I just got to watch those dudes run in camp. I mean, Jaylen Brown looks awesome. Shelton Sampson's a 5-star. You can always go hit the portal if you need more help. Aaron Anderson will be back next year. I don't worry about LSU having good receivers. They're going to be fine. Adrian Bailey, Marcus Freeman might be available after the season if Notre Dame doesn't perk. No, they're not going to fire him after 2 years. I think you're probably just joking, but I know what you mean. Let's see. Phil Stevens, Stephen Fry, Alexander went in for a tackle at the goal line, really soft. Burns saw it. He jumped all in his bunghole. Dane, what's going on, man? There's Dane Bergeron. Good to see you, dude. Dane just gave you a shout out a minute ago. Not sure if you were here. Jamal Lewis, not that Jamal Lewis, I would imagine. What do you think about Jaden Daniels' draft stock? I think he's better than Jalen Hurts was in college. They're different. They're different players for sure. I think Jaden came back with the intention of improving his draft stock because he was told last year he'd be very likely a day 3 pick. I think with his progression in the passing game and what you've seen with LSU in the passing game, it's certainly getting a lot of scouts' attention, would have to. So, I still, look, he's a tough dude. I really wonder or worry about him taking the hits he does. Like, there was another one yesterday where he took a hit on the sideline. I was like, bro, just go out of bounds. You're on the sideline. Just, the play's over. Just step out of bounds. Don't take the hit. But he's a tough dude, man. Let's see. Zachary Snyder. Morning, Matt. Thoughts on how LSU can get a more consistent pass rush? Saw a note during the game they had the first sack in the last 2 games. Yep, that's when Mason Smith got the sack, and then they ended up with 2 sacks in the second half. Braden Swinson had the strip sack as well. So I think going to the 4-man front is a big part of that, Zachary. Now going to the 4-man front, you'll probably notice as well, forced Perkins into that nickel Sam role, which he had been playing, but even more outside. So. Now he came up with a pick yesterday, but there was a play on a 3rd down where Harold Perkins was in coverage against Luther Burden. I mean, it's like, that's not what I want to see. So that's what you're going to give a little bit, because Perkins isn't going to be a hand in the dirt 4-3 defensive end. So if you're playing him in that nickel Sam role, there are going to be really good coaches that scheme him out the box. Let's see. Zachary Snyder, morning, Matt. Thoughts on how LSU... Oh, sorry, we just did that one. Alan Duran is the freshman linebacker at USC from Manny playing. I'm sure you're talking about Tackett Curtis. I don't know. Let's see. Picture of him right there, tackling an Arizona State guy. Let's see. Yeah, he's got 11 tackles on the season. I'm sorry, he's got 21 tackles on the season, two TFLs, 2 sacks, a fumble recovery. So yeah, he's playing. All right, y'all, smash that like button if you would. 397. That's awesome, man. Got almost 400 people watching live with us. That's great. Please smash that like button if you would. Subscribe up the channel. Facebook, please like the page, share the post. Oh, Charlie Cavell said Curtis is playing at safety. Stephen Robeek, what's going on, man? Stephen was at Bourbonside of Baton Rouge, the Louisiana Bourbon Festival last night. That's awesome. Made sure I went and saw my guy Q over at 7-3 Distilling. They're doing a good job, man. I think 7-3 is the first Louisiana whiskey-based whiskey distillery that is that's going to make it. I'm hoping they make it. They're doing it the right way. To this point, you've had Louisiana brands that have sourced whiskey, which is no problem with it. Just tell me what it is. They sourced it and overpriced it. You've had some that have rushed the aging process and put out an awful product, and as a result have gone out of business. That's one of them. Another one, which is probably not far behind it. But I think the way 7-3, which is well funded, is going about their process, meaning initially they sourced, very open about it, to go to market. Then they have some blends, which is a blend of some source juice in their own, and they're continuing to age and distill their own. That's 100% their own distilled process. So I think they're doing it the right way. They're patiently doing it. I hope they make it because they're doing really, really good work. 7-3 Distilling. Charlie Cavell, LSU took Shelton Sampson over Marion Miller. Do you think Sampson will emerge like Miller has with Colorado? Charlie, I'll put it to you this way. If Shelton Sampson had gone to Colorado, he'd be doing what Marion Miller's doing at Colorado. I mean, Shelton is a great talent. He's going to be fine. You just have a team where you've got Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas, who are both playing like first-round picks right now. And then Kyron Lacey, who had a great offseason and just has had some drops, man. He's just missed some opportunities this year that he's had. Kevin Williams, morning, Scone. What's your opinion on the second half defense? Looked better, but hard to say better when it's been poop. Yeah, I mean, listen, you allowed 14 points in the second half. You got off the field. You know, the first drive of the second half, they converted a 3rd and 4. They converted a 3rd and 9. They had a 3rd and 4 at the 26-yard line. You forced an incomplete pass. And then they missed the field goal, the block. Second possession, they had a 3rd and 7. You know, you forced an incomplete pass. It was 3 and out. Then they went down the field and scored. And that's where they had the no call on the false start on the touchdown run. But then you forced another 3 and out. Mason Smith had back-to-back plays. Perkins had a TFL. Mason Smith had a sack. 3 and out. Then they scored in 4 plays. And then they had the drive where they had, you know, the 4th and 32. And I mean, that was forced because of the Braden Swinson strip sack. And then you had the Major Burns pick 6. So, I mean, you got off the field. You allowed 14 points. If LSU allows a touchdown a quarter, moving forward, you allow 28 points a game. This team could beat everybody remaining on its schedule if they allow 28 a game, because they're going to keep scoring 40 on everybody. Darren Gagnon, good morning. Andrew Hines, Samuel Merrifield, Matt, a while back I heard you on AFR talking about Kelly recruiting Louisiana. Do you feel he's doing a good job in that? And also, do you think Tommy Tanks will available this season with shoulder? I have not heard anything about Tommy White not being available. So to put that out there. As far as Kelly recruiting, yes. And I think this, I think the biggest, most important change, I think the biggest, most important change for this recruiting class is, and I'll give you an illustration, but Brian Polian was Kelly's recruiting coordinator. Now it's Frank Wilson. Here's the biggest difference that I think you'll see. Now, when Kelly came in here, remember, the 2023 class that he signed last year, was a great class with a bunch of local guys. But there were also a bunch of guys in Louisiana that you were never going to get. Tackett Curtis was never going to LSU. Arch Manning was never going to LSU. Jaden Osbury wanted to leave. So, it didn't matter who the coach was. There were some of the top players in state last year that were never coming to LSU. But look at the top of the class last year. Lance Hurd was your number one rated commit from Louisiana. Deshaun Womack from Baltimore. DJ Chester from Georgia. Toviano from Texas. Jalen Brown from Miami. Whit Weeks from Georgia. Kamorian Pimpton from Texas. Jackson Howard from Minnesota. Shelton Sampson from Baton Rouge. Caleb Jackson from Baton Rouge. Kylan Jackson, Baton Rouge. Ricky Collins, Baton Rouge. Ryan Yates is from Texas, but then Tyree Adams from Aug in New Orleans. You got Kai Preon from St. James. Ashton Stamps from Rummel. So you got dudes in this class that are freshmen from the state. But the majority of your class came from out of state. And sometimes it's going to go that way. But here's the illustration that I give you. And this is the biggest difference between having Frank as your recruiting coordinator and what you had before Brian Polian. Polian didn't know the state. And I think Kelly did a really good thing in hiring Joe Sloan and Frank Wilson and keeping Brad Davis. And so he had guys on staff that know Cortez, that know the state of Louisiana, right? But they could open doors for you and they could recruit for you. But it's still different when you're putting your board together and there's different voices at the top making ultimate calls. See, last year in your class, you had 10 kids from Louisiana. Of the 26 prospects, 10 from Louisiana, 5 from Texas, 4 from Georgia, California, Florida, Maryland, Minnesota, Missouri, Nevada, Ohio. You took a 3-star cornerback last year out of Las Vegas, Jeremiah Hughes. And please do not misunderstand, I am not criticizing Jeremiah Hughes. We haven't seen him play yet. But think about the resources it takes to recruit a kid in Las Vegas. To get on a plane and fly to Vegas, to go to his games, fly him here, his family here, officially, all the resources it takes to recruit him. If that's Eli Ricks, a 5-star number 1 corner in the country, awesome. 3-star? Jeremiah Hughes was the 3rd lowest rated player in your class. And you went to Vegas to get it. Look, and we're going to say, well, there's plenty of examples of guys who are low-rated guys that performed. Yeah, there are. Justin Jefferson from Destrehan. Tyrann Mathieu, St. Aug. Jacob Hester, Evangel. I'll take a 3-star kid from New Orleans who would cut off his arm to play at LSU. recruiting a 3-star from Vegas, and again, man, I know it sounds like I'm coming down on Jeremiah. It's not. It's just an illustration of the strategy. It's not about Hughes, okay? Don't misunderstand me. And I hope that kid stays for you, has an awesome experience, becomes a great player. But my point is, build the roster taking advantage of your biggest advantage, which I always say is the dirt. It's the state. It's the talent in Louisiana. So like the great example is Wallace Foster. Wallace Foster is a 3-star cornerback who's committed to LSU for next year's class out of Warren Easton. I called the game when Catholic played Warren Easton at Memorial a few weeks back. So I got to see Wallace Foster play, and he played okay. I mean, he had some struggles. Again, Catholic's got a kid, 17. Anyway, Catholic's got a kid's junior receiver who is a stud, and this kid made some plays at Wallace Foster. I mean, dusted him a couple times. But Wallace Foster's a really athletic kid, man. So you bring him in, kid from Easton, you let him grow and develop, wants to be part of DBU, watch Tyrann Mathieu, watch Mo Claiborne and Pat Pete and Eric Reed and all these guys, come through here and be studs. Grant Delpit, Stingley, wants to be the next Louisiana kid to come through. Okay, awesome. I'll take that kid. Of course I will. It's harder to justify putting the resources in to go to Vegas to get a kid. Like, you know what I mean? That's my point. I hope that makes sense. Alan Black, enjoy the Muso dating segment on Friday. Hilarious. Future reality show with Erica hosting. Maybe. We got to work out the details on that too. On the Muso date. Oh man. Sorry, I found my spot here. Man. Here we go. Travel Man, where do some of these people come from with their take on Denbrock? I don't know how you complain about a darn thing that Mike Denbrock has done. And couple that with the fact that not only is he your OC play caller, but he's also your tight ends coach. And look at what he did with Mason Taylor last year as a freshman and bringing along that group this year as well. I mean, Cardell Brumfield, good morning. Maddie Tall, why does Brian Kelly insist on taking the ball first? See, he doesn't. We talked about this. So last week against Ole Miss, they deferred. Against Arkansas, they deferred. And you got a stop to open the game against Arkansas. You did not get a stop to open the game against Ole Miss. They went up 7-0. And so I think Brian Kelly looked at it and said, let's put our defense on the field, hopefully with a lead, instead of starting the game behind. Only LSU took the ball against Missouri and went 3-0. So he doesn't insist on taking the ball. That yesterday was a change of strategy, because the last 2 weeks they won the toss and deferred, which was the right call, because you want to defer because you want the potential for the back-to-back possessions at the end of the first half and the start of the second half, and you want the extra possession in the second half, because if you get the ball first in the second half, you're getting an extra possession, which, as we saw, you may need. So what it took for LSU in this game, though, was defensively coming up with big plays at the end of the first half and the start of the second half, which they got. They held Missouri to the field goal at the end of the first half and blocked the field goal at the start of the second half. So if Missouri had gone touchdown, that might have been curtains, at the end of the first half, start of the second. Let's see. Cliff Nelson, maybe you change midstream because you have so much to play for. I don't know if I believe that, Cliff. I mean, I understand the thought. I'm not sure I'm there with you on that. Because I think you'd have to weigh, is there a path to continuing improvement with the path you're on now versus the uncertainty of what could happen making that change mid-season when you've committed so many resources throughout the last 2 years to being what you are. And I get what you are right now is not good. I'm not saying that. We all understand that. But we're also not in those meetings to know, like, when they're sitting there with the whole team and they're watching film, you know, what is the thing that's going most wrong? You know, if you could look and say, like they did last week, and say, that's what Brian Kelly had the missed tackle. He missed 34 tackles or whatever. If you cut down the missed tackles, does LSU beat Ole Miss? Does it look like the 2011 LSU defense? But I don't need it to look like that defense. I just need them not to give up 55 and 700 yards. Can you give up 350 yards and 30 points? You do that, I still feel like I'm going to win every game. Randall Alfred, more Matt. Did LSU make it public how much they're paying Coach Pete? They didn't disclose that yet. I mean, it's public record. I mean, Coach Pete's LSU's a public university, so. But no, I don't know what they're paying him. I can find out though. Atiba, appreciate your analysis. Very hard to watch us get burned 10, 15 yards off the ball every play. You got it, man. But I get what they're doing. I'm with you. I'm not saying it's easy to watch, but I understand why they're not playing press man. I mean, you tried to play press man against Florida State. How did that go with Keon Coleman? You know what I mean? Jared Guillory, Matt, Caleb Jackson looked good on the kickoff return that was called back. Hopefully BK tries him on punt returns. I don't think he's going to return punts. It is, I think, worth asking, like, should you bring out kicks? Here's the kind of catch-22 there. Is Caleb Jackson capable of busting kick returns? Absolutely. You saw it at the 45-yard return yesterday. It looked great. The flip side of it is it worth running the risk of him taking a hit and fumbling when your offense is what it is? I mean, that's basically where they got in 2019 with Burrow. It was like, just fair catch it. We'll start at the 25. We're going to score anyway. I mean, that was kind of the mentality. It kind of feels the same right now. Let's see. Strong side thoughts on Saints Patriots. The game's a coin flip. I think the line actually on Friday got to even. Whenever you have a game that's like that, where it feels like a coin flip, I always look at three things: venue, coach, and quarterback. Well, it's in New England. Nobody in their right mind would pick Dennis Allen over Bill Belichick. And then quarterback, Mac Jones, Derek Carr. You can give the Saints the advantage. Funny. But no, I think I'd pick the Patriots. I think I'd pick the Patriots something like 20-17, low scoring game. Here's Saints inactives: Jake Luton, A.T. Perry, Lonnie Johnson, Landon Young, Andrews Pete inactive, Juwan Johnson, Kyle Phillips. Wow. So James Hurst is good to go. Adebo's good to go. Jordan Howden's good to go. Derek Carr, good to go. So on our way. Hey, bud. What are you doing? You come see Daddy? Come see Daddy. Hey, come see Daddy. Come here. Come here. What we're going to do, Dad show? After Dad's show, Daddy and Drew will go for our Dad's car. And then we'll watch Saints play. And after Saints play, we'll go to the mall. Okay. Who do you see? I love you. I love you so much. This is our game. Blue Jean Baby. Then I have to tickle kiss him. What's next? Ellie lady.
No.
No? Okay. Well, you're the one who asked for it. He usually laughs so hard when we do that.
Okay.
He knows the whole song, too. He does Tiny Dancer for those who don't know. He knows the whole song. Zachary Hardy, with the somewhat slow start to Mason Smith's season and the injury, do you think there's the slightest possibility we see him back for another year? I don't, Zachary. I don't, no. Guy Brooks, Matt, I'm hoping the Saints offense get on track. Great win yesterday for the Tigers. Dalton, good morning. Let's see. I feel like in the second half, kind of started to click somewhat on the defense. They started getting stops, man. Let's see. Blanche Hudson, Lacey, and Hilton will be back. Not totally sure on Lacey. You got to remember, sometimes guys make a decision to leave just because they don't want to be in school anymore. It's not so much what your draft prospects are. Everyone makes a different decision based on different criteria that matter to them. I mean, the example I give you all the time was Malachi Dupree. Malachi Dupree was a 5-star receiver who came in here in the same class with Leonard Fournette and Jamal Adams and those guys. And they all made up their mind that they were going to be 3 and done no matter what. Malachi should have come back for another year. He ended up getting drafted by Green Bay in the 7th round. I don't know that he ever played. So Malachi should have come back for another year, but he just made his mind from the onset that he was going to be 3 years and done. So some guys just want to go start their pro career, man, and just try to, even if you go undrafted, you get into a training camp, you try to make a roster, and you grind. You try to make it. So, Brett Guidry, Alan Duran, the wide receiver from Duncanville, Texas, can start next year. I don't know if you're trolling me on that one. Why can I never remember that kid's name? It's 14 and 12. Jalen Brown's 14, and Shelton Sampson's 6. But whoever number 12 is, I can never remember this kid's name. Kid from Texas. Jalen Brown's from Miami. Kyle Parker. I don't know why it's an easy common name, and it's nothing against him. I just, unless we were talking about a freshman, maybe like an incoming kid from Duncanville, but Kyle Parker's from Allen, Texas. Maybe that is where Duncanville is. I don't know, but Kyle Parker. So I was thinking. Come on, man, the man 82. That man should not be on the sideline. Oh, you're talking about Coach Pete. Hey, man, Kevin, you're wrong. You're wrong. Coach Pete he's still spry, man. He still got it. 82's the number. There's a reason all these, just this past spring, he went to LSU, Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, Kentucky, Oklahoma, Oregon, worked with all their coaching staffs. I mean, it's the best programs in the country, flying that dude all over to come work with their staffs. There's merit there, bro. All these places wouldn't keep bringing him in if there wasn't. ML Fody, first quarter was the lowest I've been for LSU since Coach O. Thank God for JD5. It felt terrible. When they scored on back-to-back drives to start the game, it felt awful. Yes. When it was 22-7, it felt hopeless. Gulf South, let's see. Cortland heard that. Scone said the exact thing I posted earlier about JD not running out of bounds. LOL. I mean, y'all. I think you have to. I completely respect the toughness, but there's something to be said for you got to live to play another down, man. What's more valuable, getting out of bounds and not taking a hit, or taking a hit that could cost you and your team more? Let's see. Christian, good morning. Brian Kelly keeps saying Sage Ryan is playing because he's a good tackler. He's definitely not. I know options are what they are, but I'd rather see Welch. Thoughts? I think Welch is definitely a better cover corner. Got some growing up to do. And I think Sage is one of the better tacklers on the team. He missed a big one yesterday, though. I mean, it was the play after LSU took the lead. LSU took the lead back 42-39, and on first down, Sage Ryan missed a tackle that went for a 25-yard gain. So he missed a very significant one yesterday. Robert Wall asked Matt, why can't we put Perkins at Jack on third down, bring another DB to play the nickel position? Because you want Braden Swinson on. You want Braden Swinson on the field. It's more natural Jack. It's just like last year with BJ Ojolari. How do you get them both on the field is really the challenge. Carly Cat, what's good? Lewaski, Sazerac Rye from Louisiana. So, the Sazerac company is based here, and the Sazerac company bought Buffalo Trace, which distills Sazerac Rye in Kentucky. There are some bottles of Sazerac that are distilled at the Sazerac house in New Orleans. I think they do like a barrel a day there, but the primary amount of the product is from Kentucky. They distill it in Kentucky. Make defense great again. Let's see, it was crazy watching the A&M and Bama secondaries after watching the LSU secondary. You can tell there's a much better coach than ours, and they have better talent. That's probably the bigger thing. Let's see, Joe Parker, what up? Chris Carter said the volume's too low, can't hear. I think that's a you thing, man. I don't. Anybody else on YouTube having trouble with the volume? I mean, it's on my phone. My phone's right there. It's 2 feet from my face. So, is 40 our leading tackler? No, I'm not looking at it right now. Pull it up, but without looking at it, I would bet that Andre Sam is the leading tackler on the team. I'll pull it up right now. Stats. Boop. Where are we? Load. Here we go. Individual. Defense. Leading tackler is Major Burns. Is your leading tackler with 38. Andre Sam second with 35. Hang on one second, y'all. My battery's about to die. Hang on. Right. Please smash that like button if you would. Appreciate y'all for being there on YouTube. Subscribe up to the channel if you're new. Facebook, please like the Matt Moscona page, share the post. Appreciate y'all for being here. As always, brought to you by Brock, Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic. After hours clinic, open nights and weekends. Alternative to the ER. And of course, HUDCO Roofing. Love to give you that free, no obligation roofing inspection. HUDCO Roofing, HUDCOroofing.com. Do business with someone you know. HUDCO Roofing. HUDCOroofing.com. We're going to score in a Jacksonville game. Got Jacksonville plus 5.5. All right, 11-7, going to the fourth. Jags got the ball at the Buffalo 24. Feeling good about this one. All right. Zandale, Matt, do you think the defense can play the way they did in the second half for the rest of the season? Sure. We know Jaden's tough, but ribs can linger for a long time. Thoughts? Well, I'm sure we'll find out the extent of it, but I don't think they're going to keep him off the field, man. Let's see. Hunt Palmer, Tommy White is sitting the fallout. Had shoulder surgery in July. He'll be fine in February. There you go. Zachary Hardy with the offensive line playing this well. I can only imagine next year. Let's say you'll lose Charles Turner. Dellinger and Frazier will have decisions to make. I would assume you're going to lose one of them. So if DJ Chester's your starter at center next year, the question, do you kick Emory Jones inside and put Lance Hurd at right tackle? Or does Hurd play right guard? You keep Jones at right tackle? We'll see. Emmett Bean, Michael B. Speaking of what's up with Chester. Chester went in yesterday. So when Charles Turner hurt his ankle in the goal line sequence, they put Marlon Martinez in. He had several high snaps. And that the drive where LSU had the touchdown taken off the board, the Jaden touchdown taken off the board, then they missed the 28-yard field goal. They had the high snap on the touchdown that Jaden scored that came off the board. That was the holding. Then there was a high snap on 2nd and goal from the 16 because you had here's so you had 1st and goal from the 2, high snap, Jaden scores, taken off the board for holding. So you're back at the 12-yard line. Nuss comes in. They give the ball to Malik on 1st down. If you remember, he gets 1 yard. So it's 2nd down and goal from the 11. Marlon Martinez false start. So now it's 2nd goal from the 16. It's a high snap, incomplete pass. 3rd and goal from the 16. They had the delay, the disconcerting signals, so moved it back to the 11. Nuss threw the fade that was incomplete, and you missed the 20-yard field goal. So that was not a great drive for Marlon Martinez. He had a false start and 2 high snaps, and so they pulled him and put DJ Chester in. Make defense great again. Matt, if the Saints lose today, are you canceling the season? I'm not canceling the season. I'm going to watch them every week. I just have no expectation. I'm not sure I had expectation for them coming into this year. I thought they would be a 10-7 football team, 9-8, 10-7. I thought they'd win a bad division, lose in the wild card round. Jacksonville's had 2 fumbles in the red zone. Come on, man. Finish a drive. Where would you put the over-under for points and yards if Jaden and this offense got 60 minutes to get after our defense? Well, look a lot like the Ole Miss game did. Will the 2 losses stop Jaden from winning the Heisman? Yes. Let's see. Hyperextended knee for Turner. I'm not saying you're wrong, Woods, but I mean, Gordy texted me during the game yesterday from the sideline and said it was an ankle. So I'm not saying that there wasn't a knee issue, but I'm just relaying what I was told from the sideline reporter during the game. Let's see, WD Blanchard. Morning, Matt. Do you think Pete Jenkins can have impact within a couple of weeks? I think he did yesterday. I mean, you got some nice production from your defensive line yesterday. It was good to see. Good to see Mason Smith get a sack, bat a ball down. Braden Swinson had a strip sack. You had a sack in 2 games. Had a couple yesterday. Had 5 TFLs. Let's see a few more. Robbie Wellborn, Matt, what do you think about RG3's commentary the last 2 games? He needs to go find a team to play on. LSU's defense was much better in the first half than he is. Yeah, he's rough. Charlie, where is Aaron Anderson? Yeah, I believe his hamstring. But hurt, yes. Was he the hamstring? Was that the hamstring? I think Aaron Anderson was a hamstring, yeah. All right. I think we're done, y'all. 11 o'clock. We've got to go listen to Jimmy Out's Football Sunday. Make sure y'all are locked in for Jimmy Out's Football Sunday. Get all the picks. Pays to listen and follow along, man. Randy McKay on Thursday night gave you the over with the Bears and the Commanders. That hit. Randy's play on the early game today was Jacksonville plus the 5.5, which is looking good right now. Knock on wood. So get the rest of the plays for today. They had a consensus play last week where 5 of the handicappers all gave Buffalo, and Buffalo was a giant winner over Miami last week. So we'll see. Does a 2-loss LSU team have a high percentage of winning the West? Well, keep in mind they're a 2-loss team, but they only have 1 conference loss. The Florida State loss doesn't hurt them with respect to the West. So just like last year. So, LSU went 6-2 in the conference, but they had the tiebreaker over Bama, so they went to Atlanta. So I would suggest that if LSU wins out and goes 7-1, that they will be in the SEC championship game because I can't see because they would have beaten Bama, and I cannot see Ole Miss winning out. So Ole Miss plays Georgia also. So anyway, okay. Gulf South, we know we have two great wide receivers, and everyone says the O-line is great too. Why does it feel like Jaden has to scramble as much as he does? So a lot of that is designed. Like the 35-yarder, the 14-yarder on the third and after the rib injury, the third and 9, the 14-yarder was a designed quarterback draw. I mean, they were going for it. They were going to get what they could there and go for it. The 35-yard touchdown run, it was either the 35-yarder or the 31-yarder that was designed. So the 35-yard touchdown was on 3rd and 3, and on the next drive they had 3rd and 5, and he ran for 31 yards. One of those was a designed quarterback run. I can't remember which one, but because it looks identical, but one of them was designed. I just think it's whenever you're Jaden and you have that explosive ability, you take advantage of it. Anyway, I understand the question, but it's hard to argue, man. Like when you're the 5th best offense in college football, 3rd best total offense, 5th best scoring offense in college football. I mean, you don't do that if your offensive line stinks. There's certainly good run blocking too, man. Golly, they ran the ball yesterday. It's fun to watch. Cardell Brumfield, you had a great weekend on picks. Nailed UCLA and Georgia. Yeah. I missed yesterday on A&M. Missed on Notre Dame. I feel like there was another one I missed. Had the over in the UCLA game. We won with UCLA, but lost with the total. Had the over. It went under. But let's have a great one. Let's have a great day today. I'll be listening to Football Sunday. I'll make all the plays those guys give. If y'all are just curious how I do it, I listen to all the plays that the Sharps make, and I just make equal bets on all those games. So if there's 10 plays, I make an equal bet on all 10, and we're profitable every week. So good luck to everybody today that's going to be playing along. Phil Stevens, I watch match games on mute anyway. Okay. Todd Harris, did Caleb win the Heisman last year with multiple losses? He did. Let's see. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. But remember, they had one regular season loss. They lost to Utah. So they were 11-1. And then they lost the conference championship game to Utah, and he was hurt in that game. And then they lost to Tulane in the bowl game. But they were 11-1 in the regular season. And the other thing to keep in mind is unless if there is an obvious choice. So, for example, Max Duggan was the runner-up. C.J. Stroud was number 3. Then Stetson Bennett was 4th. So, Bennett was on an undefeated team, but I think nobody really gave Bennett credit for Georgia being undefeated because Georgia was really good. So Duggan and Stroud each had losses as well, and Caleb Williams' numbers kind of blew theirs out the water. So here, Williams threw for 4,500 yards and 42 touchdowns. Duggan was the runner-up with 3,700 yards and 32 touchdowns. So Williams threw for about 900 yards and 10 more touchdowns with 3 fewer picks than Max Duggan. His numbers were just so much greater than everybody else's, and there was no undefeated quarterback of it. I mean, except for Bennett, who, Bennett threw for 4,000 yards, but no one really credited him for Georgia being what they were. So, anyway. Okay, I think we're done. Y'all have an awesome day. Thanks so much for watching. YouTube, please smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Facebook, please like the Matt Moscona page. Share the post. Shout out to Brock and Hudco. You need North Peace, go to Brock. You need a roof, give us a shout out. Hudco, Restored Motions, and Pro Charge. I need to go see Crystal at Restored Motions. RestoredMotions.com. You got pain. You've tried everything. Book a session with Crystal Poche. You'll be thrilled you did. RestoredMotions.com. All right. Have a great day. Who dat? Peace.